Ladies and gentlemen, we have a potential barn burner on our hands this weekend. BYU versus Kansas. This is the first video that myself and Caleb have previewed of the 2023 season. We have a Big 12, I don't know what you'd call it, expert, I guess you could say, with
I
Caleb
wouldn't say that, but
versus
um,
myself, who just keeps up with about everything I can college football wise. So BYU versus Kansas kicking off on Saturday. This is a surprising 9.5, 10-point favorites for Kansas right now.
Kansas opened at 7 points, gone up. It's just a weird game. You don't really know what you're getting from BYU. You know, they struggled early against Arkansas, came back and won that. They struggled against Sam Houston State of all teams in week one. So I just don't really know if you know what BYU team you're getting. Same with Kansas. They struggled last week against Nevada, who in week two got absolutely dominated by Idaho. So both these teams have shown they're good and bad. So it just kind of depends what you get out of both teams here.
Yeah, I think ultimately, and not even just what you get out of BYU, but I think what you get out of Slovis. When they played Sam Houston and struggled, he only threw for 145 yards. When they go on the road and beat Arkansas, he only throws for 167. Now, he's only been sacked 3 times this year. He's threw 6 touchdowns to 1 interception. So, pretty good performance out of your quarterback. I just don't know that I'm completely bought into this BYU team is good enough for second in Big 12, which is what they're ranked right now.
Yeah, I kind of think it falls on the defensive side for BYU. This is not the Kansas fold. They have an offense this year. Jalen Daniels leading that offense. You know, a really good quarterback. As we saw last year when they started out 5-0, obviously finished the season 1-6. But Jalen Daniels has turned this Kansas offense around, along with the two running back dynamic with Daniel Highshaw and Devin Neal. Both have already at least 170 yards or more. Both of them. Jalen Daniels has 500 yards. Only played in 2 games. Did not play in week one against Missouri State. But they have found something on offense. The thing is, for Kansas, defensively, they still have problems stopping the run. Pass defense-wise, they've improved since last season, but rush defense still in the mid-50s. So I think if they can't stop the run against BYU, they might be in trouble on Saturday.
Yeah, and one thing that's very peculiar about this BYU team is despite being ranked 116th in the nation in total offense, they've scored 13 offensive touchdowns this season. So four per game, give or take, a little over. That's hard to beat. When you're scoring 28 to 30 points per game offensively, that's a good spot to be in. Now, yes, some games you're going to have to go out and score 40 or 50 to win because you're playing in the Big 12, and that's just the nature of college football at the moment. But when you have a team that's putting up 30 points per game, you would expect them to win. Alternatively, defensively, they are number 27 in red zone defense. So this is a team that plays very well at home. This is a back-to-back road game. You played I'd say a very mediocre, slightly above average Arkansas team last week, and you barely scraped by. I don't know that they're going to be able to do it back to back, especially after last time we saw Kansas. I'll say my last time I saw Kansas against Illinois, they looked lights out. They looked really, really good. Didn't get a chance to watch them last week. So I don't know exactly what I'm getting out of BYU, but I do know that they're going to have to play the best game they've played this season if they want to pull out a win.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, this will be probably sold out. David Booth Memorial Stadium where Kansas plays. It's family weekend, so that adds to the amount of fans that are going to be there for Kansas. It's a 2:30 game on ESPN. Kansas has not got a lot of those
Yeah.
national TV games in last couple of years, so it's a big opportunity. They're actually going to have back-to-back to play Texas next week on ABC at 2:30. So I don't know the last time you could say Kansas was on ABC, but I think that's just what Lance Leipold has done for Kansas the last couple of years is incredible. Kansas was probably one of the worst Power 5 schools in the nation. Over the last 5 years, he's turned that around. It really does fall on the defense. As you said, the Nevada game was just a weird one. I mean, that game started at 9:30 local time where Kansas is, and it probably didn't end until around midnight local. And they just turnovers were the problem there. They were just not able to hang on the ball, not capitalize on the mistakes that Nevada had. And ultimately, Nevada stayed in the game. They did a great job staying in the game. You can't afford to do that. That's the second game in a row. You kind of let a team hang around. I know you said it looked good against Illinois, but they were up 34-7 or 31-7. and they let Illinois back in that game, and it became a game late in the fourth quarter. So if they have the opportunity to put the game away, they have to do it this time. And I also think they will. I think Kansas has come a long way. First Big 12 game of the season. You have Texas next week. Could be a look ahead game, but I don't think Lance Leipold's going to let that happen to Kansas. I don't think Kansas is the team yet to let you skip over opponents.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is that, obviously it's BYU's first game in the Big 12, but I think this is going to be truly a welcome to the Big 12 moment. If you go back and just look at the Arkansas game last week, Arkansas outplayed them basically in every aspect of the game other than third down. BYU's defense held Arkansas for 2 for 13 on third down. I'm sorry, you're not going to win a game when you go that route, but Arkansas had more first downs. They almost doubled their total yardage. Completion percentage was much, much higher for KJ Jefferson. He did throw that one pick. BYU had less than 100 rushing yards, 2.5 yards per carry. Arkansas had 14 penalties and led the time of possession battle by almost 11 minutes. So all signs pointed towards Arkansas winning that game last week. Like you said, Kansas's offense is just unequivocally good at the moment. Lance Leipold, I don't think they are going to be looking past BYU. I think even if they do look ahead, they could still probably pull this one out. If you look at the rest of BYU's schedule, I mean, they may beat Iowa State, Oklahoma State, but those are the last 2 of the 3 last weeks of the season. Cincinnati may be a good game next week. I don't think they beat TCU, Texas Tech, Texas, West Virginia, maybe depending on Garrett Green's situation, and then they're going to get steamrolled by Oklahoma. So BYU, you don't have many games that you can really get up for. I'm kind of surprised this is only a 9-point game, but ultimately we'll finish with this, Gerald. It is a 9.5-point favorite in terms of Kansas being favored. Do you think that is accurate? You get who you going to cover in this one?
I think Kansas covers. I just think the offense might be too overwhelming for BYU. They let Arkansas score 31, and Arkansas's offense isn't the best. It's not bad, but it's just, KJ Jefferson is a, two-dimensional quarterback. Jalen Daniels brings another level. He is faster. He can find ways to launch the ball down the field on the run. He's just the things he does. It's incredible to watch for Jalen Daniels. I think he's going to be a major problem, barring any injuries, of course. And I think Kansas, I think they win by 2 touchdowns here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've got Kansas against the spread as well, minus 9.5. I think their offense is just too explosive. I mean, BYU is lucky to pull out a win last week. When you give up 425 yards of offense, you're just drastically. Arkansas beat themselves. They had a lot of third down and long situations. That's why they go 2 for 13. 14 penalties. No one's going to win with those numbers. Like I said earlier, I think ultimately Kansas is just too explosive, and you're not going to have to rely on your defense in this one. If they had to, it may be a different game. But your offense is going to be good enough. Your offense just needs to put up, I would say, high 20s, and you're probably going to win this game.
If it gets into a shootout, I'm still favoring Kansas.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't need your defense to be great this week. You just need them to be good enough. Get 2 or 3 stops, and you're going to win this football game. So
I agree.
Get 4, and you're going to cover. So that's the ultimate goal here. Good teams win, great teams cover. So
yeah.
So that'll do it. Leave in the comment section your prediction for this game: Kansas minus 9.5 or BYU plus 9.5. Hit that subscribe button. We will see you guys next week.